She cheated on me from the jump. Need support. I'm going to be upfront. I'm youngish at 23 and I'm in college currently, and my partner was in grad school. But the relationship was serious and had been 14 months long, and we had been talking about maybe getting married when I graduated, which was supposed to be December. I flunked because of this, and while the school cleared my record, it's now 9 weeks from today. We had this plan basically of get hitched, then when she graduated a year after, if I had the money, we would go to Brussels as a honeymoon and would go from there and maybe starting a family. If any of that is too dicey on rule 1, I'm sorry, but I am genuinely not trying to break rules. To me, it is a serious, long-term relationship, hence why I feel it fits here. I have been keeping quiet about this because I was frankly embarrassed it happened to me. I was cheated on in the past year when younger, but I never felt this pathetic. Me and my partner met in early September 2020, and I thought we had something really good. We were scarily alike, and everything seemed really perfect and well behaved. I had some moments of alarm here or there, as she would have a few guy friends she took trips with overnight, but I convinced myself I was paranoid. We had talked about a month in on if we were exclusive and committed, and the answer was yes, so I was going to trust her. Things started coming to a head in early October, but it's a slow train wreck. She started talking about this 30-year-old failed UFC fighter who was like a brother to her, and mentioned a few times he has abs. I told her I wasn't okay with this and I wanted to meet him. She said, "Yeah, sure, you two get along great," and I left it. A week later, there was a discussion, and I made a joke that the only reason she dates me is because I can carry out her furniture. She then comes out of left field and says, "Well, UFC guy can do it, and he can take out my couch too after he breaks it pounding me into it." I stopped and said, "What the F?" and said that was not okay. She tried to say my joke was worse, but I was seriously hurt and asked her point blank if she had been cheating. She said, "First, that's none of your business, and second, you know I would never." I should have freaking called it right effing there, but I convinced myself I was stupid. Fast forward, and one night out of the blue she buys me these really expensive boots. She had no reason, she said, but she said I looked happy, and that was important. But it was also like $200 boots, and she lives off of $800 a month for rent and food, and is debt spending beyond that. That night, she calls me and says she needs me bad, and she was coming to grab me. We were going to spend a week together in her apartment and play house. I was a bit apprehensive, as I had work the next day, and I can't get to work from her place easily, but she insisted she would pay for an Uber or something. I agreed, and made the arrangements to cover for me being MIA for the next week. I get there, we watched Beetlejuice and went to bed. Next morning, I woke up early and snuck out to get us donuts and came back, and when she woke up, she suddenly had a million things to do. It was a hectic day, and I realized at the end of it, I would need to do schoolwork while I was over at her place, so I asked if she was okay to use her laptop, and she said sure, and gave me the password. At 6, I went to work, and around 10, I came back to an empty apartment with a note she had an emergency with her grandma, and would be back soon, and to wash her dog. I said sure, and took a bath, then went to use her computer, and then I saw the messages. She had her messages displayed on her freaking computer, and the last message was her texting the UFC guy, "I can't wait to taste you tonight." I was sick and shaking, and I called her and demanded an explanation. She was mad and wanted to know why I was in her messages, and I pointed out she left them up. She then admitted it. She was with UFC guy down south, and they had plans for the next 5 days. I wanted to leave, and she said sure, but that I would kill her dog and leave her apartment to be robbed. I broke and stayed like a fool and ended up having a series of panic attacks, and my world basically became feeding and taking care of that dog, then chugging NyQuil to put myself to sleep. She came home and sat me down and said she loved me, but she wasn't attracted to me, and she had been seeing the UFC guy for 2 weeks, and that was it, she swore. I was livid and gave her back her freaking guilt boots and left. 2 days later, she came back apologizing, saying she wanted to make it right. I decided to try and forgive, but she would keep calling me late at night in this breathless voice, and so happy it made me sick because I knew she was cheating but didn't accuse her. Then, one night, she called me her soulmate and all that, then literally said, "Ah, shit, I have to go. He is coming down the steps now, bye." I knew what was happening, and I was freaking done. I walked away, and I told her to go F herself, and that I hated her. That was November 9th, the day after my birthday. I was in a bad place and started drinking again, and did some other bad things to myself and almost died because of it, but I recovered kinda and wasn't actively messing my stuff up. I changed a lot. I shaved my head, lost 20 pounds in 3 weeks, and have since lost another 60. I stopped seeing people socially, and still haven't since it happened with 3 exceptions, with my best friend. Then, in December, she came back again. She admitted she was a monster and wanted to fix things. I told her I freaking hated her and I didn't want to see her. But then she threatened to hurt herself, so I broke and allowed her to take me over to her apartment. I held her while she just cried relentlessly, saying she was a monster and how no one but me ever loved her and blah blah blah. I grit my teeth and I made a deal. I tried to forgive, but there was going to be rules and that she was on thin ice. We literally spent a full day and a half with only a 6-hour break to sleep, negotiating the contract she insisted on keeping on her Google Drive and a point system for her infractions because she didn't trust me to not walk away for no reason. We spent a Christmas together watching movies and decorating a tree. Then, during that, she broke down again and came clean. Apparently, the entire time we were together, she was always seeing other men, and to top it off, her abusive ex-boyfriend wasn't her ex until 2 months into our relationship. She kept insisting he was abusive, but honestly, I doubt it. I looked into him after the fact, and it looks like she held all the cards and pushed him into the army to get rid of him, so she could screw around. I didn't want to hear her anymore and told her to stop. That was behind us now, and while she lied, I promised to try, so here we are. We ended that date, and the next morning she texted me saying she was sick, but wanted to say she loved me and wanted to call me. I said, alright, get some rest. Then around 6, I had a question about something in the contract. I swear on my life the wording was edited in one of our agreements about where we would meet, as I specifically said it had to be within an hour walking distance of my home, for my safety. But instead it was edited to 2 hours driving, which is ridiculous. She answered the phone, and then I heard her yell, "It's nothing," then run and close the door. My gut sank, and my immediate question became, "Where are you?" And her response sealed it. "I'll tell you, but you're not allowed to be mad." I bit my tongue, and she then revealed she was at the UFC guy's place again. I went through the roof and just kept repeating, "Wow." She kept going, "You don't have a right to be mad," and saying, "We're just on his couch watching Game of Thrones," and alternating between the two. I hung up on her and went for a walk. I walked over 20 miles that night just having an out-of-body experience, and I had to get picked up by my best friend who brought me home and sat with me. The freaking real kick in the teeth is that while walking that night, I went to check the contract and she had deleted it. She also blocked me on Facebook and Venmo, and I'm going to guess she had the other guy block me on Facebook too, so I couldn't tell her. I've been numb really since, and it's been really hard recovering. I'm forcing myself to talk just because sitting with this bottled up has been torture. I don't know what else to say really or why I'm here. I guess I just kind of want to know what now. It's been so hard and so lonely, honestly. My best friend checked in on January 20th and took me to visit my grandma last Monday, I think, but other than that, I've been alone. I can't even talk to my friends or family about it just because of how painful and embarrassing it is. I just don't know anymore. Our first reaction comes from Carp Grinder. It's not your fault. You shouldn't be embarrassed that a monster mistreated you. Your friends and family can give you comfort to move past the creature that wrecked you. If I were in your shoes, I would be telling everyone that had the patience to listen. Venting to another person can be deeply therapeutic. Living a great life is the best revenge. The OP responds, I should explain better. I'm embarrassed because I was basically a doormat for her and I kept coming back. It's so stupid and I, by extension, should be ashamed of it. The first 12 says, you live and you learn. No normal person would know how to handle that extraordinary monster without previous experience. The OP replies, yeah, I guess you're right. I was just so convinced I was going to be a decent guy, and part of that was trying to do the right thing and forgive and work on trust. But now I know. Marsupial Maven adds, she is a monster, and she did you a huge favor and showed you who and what she really was. Thanks to this, you won't have to divorce and worry about kids, alimony, child support. You should tell everyone you know. First, because she could try to weasel into their lives. Next, because it's good for your friends and family to know how easy it is to be taken in. And last, because it will help you stay away from her. There's great power in being able to say, I made a huge mistake. Our next thought comes from Reasonable Doubt 59. If she ever comes back and threatens to hurt herself, if you don't talk to her, ask her what failed UFC guy would do if she wasn't there for him to use. Don't bother waiting for the answer. Just offer to call him for her. The OP replies, first part I get, but the second seems true, sharp, and cruel. I may hate her and think failed UFC guy's a douche, an F-boy, but I'm not about make her situation worse and drag myself into that part of the crap. One more comment from AG from 83. It's easy to kick yourself now, but at the time you were giving someone you loved another chance. It's fine as long as you learn from this, and you seem to be well aware of the points at which you should have acted differently. It's an important life lesson. You have to draw a line in the sand. You decide where exactly that line is, but once someone crosses it, there's no way back. Some people are just too malevolent and way too cunning for you to be a pushover. Sucks about what happened, but remember, she was never the person you thought she was. It was all an act. Our next story starts off like this. Wife is having an emotional affair, at least. Title says it all. A few days ago, I found some text messages after snooping. I snooped after about 3 weeks of emotional unavailability, lack of physical contact, and her just being different. I found out she skipped work about 2 weeks ago and lied again about having plans with him this past weekend. There were also things in there like her asking if he was unhappy about her friend being around time now and how she's excited to see him again. When confronted, she became defensive, but maintains she has never cheated on me, even to friends and family. I asked to see her messages and she hid them. After the confrontation, I ended up couch surfing and she brings up how, if we don't have trust, what do we have? She has never done anything like this before. She said she hasn't been happy with us since our kid was born, so about 3 years. I don't know what to do, and I want so badly to give her the benefit of the doubt and think it was only emotional. We've had our problems, and she has asked for space so she can figure out things with us. She has been saying she needs space since last October. If she's looking to this guy for something we're missing, I understand and can move past it if she wants to put the work in. But I'm not sure if I can if it got physical with them. I'm so sick to my stomach about all this. We also have a couples therapy session for this Friday and won't tell me if we are actually separated or not. Update. Lawyered up, and 2 days into me being home, she had her mother hand me a letter calling an end to the marriage. She couldn't do it face to face after 10 years together. Honestly, I feel sad, but also like a weight has been lifted. She has asked me to spend 3 days a week home with our son, and she will take the rest of the days on a temp basis until I find a place with friends or a basement suite. I have a 4-year-old. She is uprooting his whole existence over some douche, and I'm to start putting my money in another bank account. The way the people I thought were my family are acting is so cold and greedy all of a sudden is shocking. Thanks to everyone here who helped me through the fog to see what human garbage my wife had become. I'm sure I have the first lawyer appointment. Our first reaction is from Digong Butet. Tell her she no longer has any right to tell you what to do. If she wants space, she can have all the space she needs outside your house. Track down a fair partner or significant other, then tell her you are divorcing because your wife is having an affair with him. Put your foot down. Make her the one to leave. Our next reaction comes from Cranach. No matter what she says, don't leave your home. She can stay wherever she likes, but you stay home. Also, talk with a lawyer ASAP and ask them for advice about how to handle the situation and how to protect your assets. Please also get tested for STDs. Better safe than sorry. Inform your friends and family about the end of your marriage and her affair. Next thought from Dr. Nemesis is here. Do not leave the house. If she needs space, she can move out. Go no contact. Don't do the pick-me dance. Do what your lawyer tells you. This has more than October in the making. Remember, you are not alone in this. We'll be for the best. For you and your kid. Stay strong and take care, OP. I know it's sad, but it's better to know the truth than stay in the fog of doubt. And one more comment from On the Beach 61. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. Family, and most notably her, has demonstrated with her actions who she really is. I am sorry you find yourself here. I would definitely get an STD panel, and do not let her force you out of your own home.